Hello and welcome to the Insight Podcast. I am your host, Daniel Tahar, the social media and marketing specialist here at Sentinel Technologies. Today's episode covers Lifecycle Services. And today, I am joined by the VP of Lifecycle Customer Management here at Sentinel Technologies. Please welcome Mr. Ron Biscacci.
How you doing, everybody?
Glad to have you. Also joining us, the Director of Enterprise Customer Experience here at Sentinel, Mr. Frank Lopez.
Hi, Dan. Thanks for having us.
I'm glad to have you both. Very excited. Now, gentlemen, today we will be covering everything Lifecycle Services. So let's kick it off, Ron. Can you explain exactly what the Lifecycle practice is and what we do?
Yeah, Daniel, that's a good question. Lifecycle practice for our customer is basically around the digital journey. And the goal behind that is to basically have the adoption of their applications and maximize their business outcomes. The goal behind that is to basically track our business outcomes, KPIs, and basically build a purpose-driven playbook and try to make sure that we meet those requirements and get a clear picture of the overall business success. Some of the benefits that lifecycle practice has for our customers is we establish the goals and milestones for that customer profile that we do right in the beginning. We also assist the customer with their management of license and consumption, which is very important, when we get down to renewal days and also true forward days. We love to be able to sit down and work with you guys and work with education. Education is a big part of this because that is going to help drive adoption and training. And then what we'll do from there is we encourage deeper feature application adoption. What that means is basically going in and looking at your applications that are there. Maybe you didn't know that you had a feature or function that was in there that you could use, and maybe it meets or exceeds maybe your business outcomes. And the last thing we like to work with that is basically on your true forward renewals and make sure you know what your OpEx costs are before you even get to that day. So moving forward, you know what the cost factors are financially. And from there, the nice thing about our CS program is that we adopt this through customer success managers. And our customer success managers are basically dedicated to your project.
Excellent. Now, Frank, maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on the role of the CSM.
Sure. So, Sentinel Customer Success Manager, the primary role is to really show the customer's journey throughout all of our lifecycle practice. Okay. So we have our enterprise agreements as part of the main CSM's role. They're going to make sure that everything is being tracked, managed, and consumed. But also what's really critical is the adoption. So not only are they looking at what's being used, but in the case of if something is being under-consumed, why is that? And then so what we'll want to make sure that the CSMs are doing is really looking at that and mapping that back to the business outcomes. So they play a really big key role in the overall life cycle and the overall journey through Sentinel services.
That is excellent. Now, Ron, maybe getting more in depth here in regards to the customer success plan and the adoption acceleration plan. Can you further tell me about the Sentinel lifecycle journey and its capabilities?
Yeah, the nice thing about our journey is that we basically start during the decision phase. What we mean by that is right at the beginning of the pre-sales. We try to get our CSMs assigned early in the game. This way we can start tracking those business outcomes and the KPIs. And this way we can have a delivery right from the beginning with you guys. From there, we basically go into the onboarding stage, which is basically where we go in and we kind of educate you on your licensing. And what that means is that we try to show you where you can go, consumption of your licenses, how to generate licenses, things like that, just to get a better understanding. Then we start hitting all the different phases beyond that, which includes implementation, usage, engagement, adoption, optimization, innovation, basically finishes off the phase. And I love it that we follow it through the whole course of the project itself or the solution. We just don't kind of do a one stop and go where we kind of deliver the application and walk away. We're there for the full life cycle, full journey of this application that we're deploying, which gives us a lot of capabilities of starting to engage with you guys to enhance it and make it better.
Beautiful. Now, I think after those two steps, that should lead us somewhere towards subscription monitoring, if I'm not mistaken. Frank, maybe you could elaborate a little bit more about the next steps that follow in Sentinel's lifecycle journey?
Sure. So with the dedicated CSM, what they're going to be doing is actually looking at that the actual overall consumption. So as they monitor that, they're looking at health checks, really. So as far as is everything running, is everything optimized? And so we have an overall lifecycle plan, which kind of steps through each one of those phases. And one of those key phases is really the implementation. So implementation doesn't just include getting everything installed and up and running, but it's really looking at, is this really bringing value to the customer as it was designed, the overall solution. So really the CSM is making sure, again, mapping everything back to the desired business outcomes from each of the clients, and then mapping it back to trends and metrics. And so we have a methodology where we're actually measuring this and showing to customer on a regular basis.
Excellent. That seems to be quite a plan you guys have in place. Now, going back, maybe Ron, you could tell me how big of a difference is exactly the lifecycle practice makes in terms for your customer's relationship with you and the long-term growth that it affects.
And it's a great question. And it's funny. It's that when we first started this off, we didn't know what the impact was going to be. And we're starting to see that, with our customer success managers, CSMs, being dedicated, working with our customers, we're starting to get a better understanding of the customer needs and requirements beyond of just kind of going in and putting an application in. And the nice thing about that is we're overseeing their services on the application for license adoption. And with that is that we can really truly see if they're really adopting the software packages from the start to finish and helping them then migrate. We put plans in place saying that, hey, if we're not meeting a certain criteria for adoption, we're going to come in and help you jump over that and exceed that point. And it's going to really help the customer at the end of the day to meet the goals and get the full value of their applications that they're deploying, compared to just kind of deploying it, let it sit, and then what's going to happen from there? They're going to be unhappy, very disappointed. People are going to be kind of like upset about what's been deployed, and then it's a question why. What we want to do is be able to go in and help them meet those criteria and then kind of walk them through and how to get through those areas. The other thing too is, like Frank was saying earlier too, we were going to go in and we're going to look at total consumption and making sure your operation expenses are in line. Any additional costs that might be incurring because of your true up or true forward that's going on, we're going to be able to notify you before the date of that bill just comes in. You're going to see why and how, or maybe we want to basically bring it back a couple licenses to meet our requirements. We can see those different things. And again, it's all about education.
Right.
We want our CSMs to kind of go in and educate and help educate the customer on the applications they're buying, because the more knowledge they have around the application, the better they're going to be able to adopt that application and get excited about it. So we work with the customer really closely about what our fee and fee-based applications or courses that are out there to help them meet those goals. And some of these are very structured goals, or structured classes around the application itself. Mm-hmm. So this way we can meet those requirements.
Right. So that's great information, but I know probably a lot of listeners are thinking, what exactly sets our practice apart from others and competitors?
Well, that's another great question. So one of the things is because we go in right away during the pre-sale side, and we're trying to get those business outcomes with the customer. So we're working really closely with the customer, trying to identify those business goals, outcomes, KPI, maybe even pain points they already have. Mm-hmm. And we want to kind of track that for right from the beginning. If we can't get right in the beginning, we're hitting that right from the first start of the application, or first start of the project itself. We want to ensure that we're also making sure that we're hitting the value of those applications that we're deploying. Frank Teams is going to come out to the CSMs. They're going to come out there and they're going to look and say, yes, you're meeting those KPI and requirements, and you're getting full value of that. The other thing that we really work heavily on that is to look at the adoption ratio. And we want to make sure that, within a certain time frame, we're meeting the adoption of those applications. Switching has different criteria for adoption than WebEx, let's say,
sure,
or some type of Teams application that's out there.
Absolutely.
It's total different adoption level. So we go in and kind of look at those adoption levels and how do we focus and make sure they're getting adopted. We also want to build long-term relationships. At the end of the day, that's what Sentinel was all about. We have customers that have been here from day one since we started this company, still around. And we want to make sure we keep those customers for a long time. So we want to know the customer, we want to understand the customer. Once we assign a CSM, the goal is to have the CSM kind of like the AM assigned from start to finish of the project and continue on, for the next project that goes on. And then we basically tie all this together with some optional services that we have. So we have managed services, and then we also have advisory services that we try to go in and deliver additional features and functionality to help the customer out.
Now with these optional managed services offering, maybe Frank, you could further elaborate how they would benefit the customer when they're bundled together with the lifecycle journey.
Sure. Well, you mentioned what differentiates the Sentinel
I did.
lifecycle practice, and I think that's one of the major points is that we have a number of layered technologies. So the CSM, Customer Success Manager, is not just walking the particular customer through a particular product that they've purchased, but it's really the overall layered support. That can include any one of our many annuity types of practices, which is managed services, our traditional support, maintenance support, which is HANS, Cloud Select, Security Select. So we really have a large portfolio of offerings. And again, the CSM really helps the overall customers experience in really trying to maintain it. They're not managing projects, but they're really managing that relationship that encompasses all of these different technologies.
Excellent. Subscription-based services are becoming the norm, and Sentinel has built a practice around enablement for our customers to ensure that they are receiving the full value of their purchases. That is why it is the perfect time to begin your journey. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us today on the Insight Podcast and coming along and enlightening us all about what lifecycle services are and also how beneficial Sentinel's lifecycle journey is for our customers. Thank you for your time. And until next time, take care.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.